So, welcome to the Study Abroad podcast series. So, today we have Komal who did her masters from University of Amsterdam. So, welcome Komal.
Thank you.
So, Komal, please tell us a bit about your initial life in India before you came to Amsterdam. When was the very first time you thought that you should go abroad or there is something like abroad which is there for your future?
Yeah, so a quick introduction. My name is Komal Pattanayak and I'm from Bhubaneswar, Odisha. And I did my bachelor's from Miranda House in economics. So I had a 3 years bachelor's in economics there, and then it was COVID in 2020 when I graduated. So I decided to stay at home and do a job, trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. So I was working for a startup for about 8, 9 months, and then in between, I decided that I would like to go do my master's. So yeah, during COVID time, I didn't want to do my master's because I hated the online lectures and studying online. So I wanted to wait and wait it out to do my master's, and I decided to do it abroad. So yeah, that's how I reached Amsterdam.
Sure, sure. So, when you are applying to this study abroad colleges, Amsterdam was one of the option probably. What other options you had?
Yeah, there were quite a few options actually. So my decision was mostly based on the course, what kind of course the universities provided, and also budget. So I looked at a few universities in Europe. So a lot of our classmates were going to Europe, so it looked like a very great destination. And also, the universities are really nice. I didn't have much knowledge about European universities. You usually hear about USA and Canada, UK. So that's why I did some research, and then I found out that MSc Economics was really, really good course in a few colleges here. For example, University of Amsterdam itself, then Paris School of Economics, also Stockholm School of Economics. So a lot of options. So according to the budget and also the course, I decided to go to University of Amsterdam because I really liked the course structure here for MS Economics, and also it was reasonably like the tuition fees was reasonable as compared to options in UK, for example.
Sure, sure. So you did apply to other colleges, or after doing careful consideration, you just applied to U of A?
No, I did apply to some other colleges, but in European Union itself, I didn't apply to colleges in UK. I applied it to Erasmus, also, which is in Rotterdam. Then I applied to Stockholm School of Economics as well.
So like two, three applications, like you are quite focused on your
Yes,
number of applications.
yes, I didn't want to apply to multiple colleges together because then you also have to give application fees and stuff. So I really tried to focus on where I wanted to go, and accordingly gave more time in preparing my SOP and everything.
Okay, so it's like three, four colleges you applied to, and you got offer from one of them or few of them maybe, and then you chose
Yeah.
Amsterdam as the option based on various factors.
Exactly. There are a lot of factors like language, for example. Like if you go to some other country in Europe, every country has a different language. So in Amsterdam, in Netherlands, I would say that a lot of people speak English, and everyone, almost everyone on the street knows how to speak English. So it really helps. For example, it's difficult in France or maybe Spain, but here in the Netherlands is quite easy, actually, because there is a lot of international crowd as well, and there are a lot of MNCs here, and it really really helps the expats.
And you knew about all this beforehand.
I did my research. I didn't know about all this. Obviously, I spent a lot of time on YouTube during 2020 when we were in lockdown. So this is what I was doing, researching about universities and the countries.
So when you're doing this research, you did see a lot of YouTube videos. Did you also try to approach some people here and there via LinkedIn or some like seniors, etc.?
Of course, I approached quite some people. You send messages to a few, and then you get some replies. So I did found a few people in University of Amsterdam itself. I think two, three Indians I talked to and asked about their experience. But yeah, it was COVID time, so you know, the experience was also like that, but still they give good insights about the course structure and everything. But I was lucky that when I came here, we had in-person classes and not online lectures, so that was much to my relief.
Sure, sure, sure. So you actually had like a 1 year gap between your bachelor's and master's where you explored the options, right?
Yes, during the 1 year gap I was working in a startup.
And you decided about abroad before that only, or you started all the applications after you joined this startup in the gap year?
No, I decided in between when I was working. So in the beginning, I actually wanted to do a lot of things. I wanted to, in the beginning, I thought I will go for UPSC and very different paths. But then I thought that I wanted to do masters. So yeah, also I wanted to go abroad. I already wanted to do that earlier for my bachelor's, but I thought it's more yeah, it's better to do it for masters. So then I got a chance to do it.
Sure, sure, sure. So after considering a lot of career options, you decided that study abroad is the option, and then obviously pinpointing to Amsterdam was the ultimate option executed. Sure. So
Yes.
you had to write any test like IELTS, TOEFL, GRE, SAT, etc. for this. Which all tests did you write?
I did GRE and IELTS. So for MSc Economics, you have to give either GRE or GMAT compulsorily, and also IELTS is compulsory everywhere, I think.
Okay, okay. So this MS in economics is kind of almost like a MBA, like a sister of MBA kind of thing. That's why you need that GMAT score. Is it like that?
No, it's not. It's very economics focused. So it's like Indian equivalent of MA or MSc Economics, same. But GMAT is also acceptable. Usually GRE is more acceptable, but yeah, they are flexible if you have a GMAT score, because I don't think there is a huge difference between GRE and GMAT. Like both these exams test your analytical skill, English skills, mathematical skills, so it's almost the same.
Yeah, the impact might be the same, but I think the application fee for GRE and GMAT is a bit very different, right?
Okay, I'm not sure about it. I never looked into GMAT scores, GMAT application actually.
Okay, okay, sure, sure, sure. I think GMAT might be a bit more expensive than GRE probably, but yeah, we can check
Okay.
that later. Sure, sure. So you wrote this GRE, you had this IELTS, right?
Yeah.
And you had this statement of purpose and letter of recommendation also along with, and a resume and a cover letter probably.
Yes, exactly. All
Whom did
these.
you find for your letter of recommendation? Like two or three? How many did you need for these European colleges?
Just one actually, which was good. So I just reached out to one of my professors and got an LOR. Yeah, because that time a lot of students approach the professors, and it's very difficult for them to give LORs to multiple students. And I remember that a lot of students wanted to apply abroad, especially from my college. So yeah, it was a relief.
Sure, sure. So I see from your LinkedIn that you studied in a like a co-ed school, then you moved to like a girls only college, and then again the University of Amsterdam was again a co-ed. So how was this sandwich? Did this sandwich affect you a bit? Like, like preparing you for, let's say, initially as a school child co-ed, and then girls only college, and then PG course as a co-ed. Was there any, I mean, did you face any problem? Did you like had any issues regarding this, or there was like nothing like that?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question. So, so yeah, after my high school, I wanted to go to Delhi University because obviously it's reputed, and I also wanted to get into one of the most reputed colleges. So I had a few options: Hindu, Hansraj, Miranda House. But Hindu Hansraj are, of course, co-ed. But then, yeah, if you see the NIRF rankings, then Miranda House is number one, and it has been number one for a few years. So that definitely drove my decision to go and study at Miranda House, even though I did feel at the back of my mind that how will I adjust in a girls' college because I've always been in a co-ed setting. But I think it was one of the best decisions because it was great to be in a girls' college. The professors were really, really nice. And also, all the students, they come from different backgrounds, different states, cities. So it's very like diverse. So my own group, I would say, was everyone was from different cities, different parts of India. So, and we all were there as a group, so it was really really nice experience. And yeah, I didn't feel anything off coming to a girls college suddenly from a co-ed setting, so I had a great time.
Sure, sure. And in your Amsterdam University, did you had the similar kind of setting, not the girls, but the multicultural aspect of it?
Yeah, definitely. Because Amsterdam, Netherlands in itself is very multicultural. If you uh, pick the big cities, for example, Amsterdam, Utrecht, Eindhoven, like you will see that you will see people from different countries, different backgrounds, and even in my class, there were not just Dutch people. There were Dutch, Chinese, Italians, Indians. It was a really, really multicultural group, I would say.
Sure, sure. And regarding the accommodation, what was your accommodation booking strategy for Amsterdam? I have heard it's quite hard usually.
It is very hard. It is now very hard. Before also, I heard that it was still a bit better. So for my university, I actually got my accommodation through university. So I had to pay some fees, about 200, €300, I think. I don't know what it's now, but at that time, yeah, we had to pay, and then we could choose what kind of accommodation we wanted based on our budget, and it was sort of allotted to the students. So it was mostly for international students, which was super helpful because if you're coming from abroad and then you need a place to stay, right? A lot of people were struggling a bit because they didn't find it, or they thought that they will come here and then look for it. So they had to stay in Airbnb for a while, and then they had to find a place, which can be a bit hard. It's always good to find housing through university. It makes life much easier.
Sure, sure. What about your visa application? How was that? What documents did it need? Like, what were the few things that you need for the visa application?
So for visa application, also it was pretty straightforward, and the university sends everything in your email, whatever you need to provide to them. So it was mostly basic ID, and also you need to show some balance in your bank account. So that was super important. So it should be the tuition fees plus the living expenses. So then if you take a loan, for example, it's really recommended that you should take it earlier, like before you have to send your visa documents, so that you have that much time between you get your approvals and the money and you show it for your visa document. So that's super important.
Sure, sure. And what would be the approximate living cost per month if somebody is considering University of Amsterdam, let's say per month, like 1,000 euros or something? Like, what's your estimate?
Yeah, yeah. It depends person to person. If you take student accommodation, like in 2021 when I was here, it cost me around 445 euros just accommodation. And on top of that, maybe 200 300 euros per month expenses. So 7 to 800 I think was per month. But it really depends what kind of housing you are in. So I was sharing, I had my own bedroom, but then it was still two-bedroom house sharing. But if you get a studio, for example, you have to pay a bit more. So it really varies. But I would say, yeah, 1,000. It should not go beyond 1,000 if your rent is say within 700 euros.
Sure, sure. And which flight did you take for your very first travel?
KLM, because it's a direct flight, and it was also my first time going abroad, so I just wanted to land directly in Amsterdam, so I took KLM.
Sure, sure. And were you flying with other people also, or you were like solo traveling?
No, I was traveling by myself, but then I knew someone who is also going to University of Amsterdam and is on the same flight. So because we had a group chat already for the students who are joining, it really helped. Then you can connect with people beforehand. So yeah, I met then someone on the flight. So it was not solo, but yeah.
Solo till the airport, and then you had a buddy.
Yes. Exactly.
Sure, sure. And this was your first trip to Amsterdam or Europe or like abroad in general, or you had other abroad
Yes, it
also?
was my first trip to anywhere in abroad actually.
So you also had to go through the passport making process. I mean, this was like the very first time you got your passport.
Now I already had my passport, but I didn't get a chance to travel, unfortunately. But after coming to Europe, I think you end up traveling a lot because all the countries are just so nearby. So you drive a bit and you reach a new country.
It's pretty much like states of India, right? Each country is like a state.
Exactly, exactly. That's the thing.
And once you landed in Amsterdam, what were the initial surprises, shocks for you that you observed, like very first few recalls?
People are very tall here. That's what I. That was my first observation. The pilots, air hostesses, like you first observe directly when you land. So I was at the airport and I'm seeing everyone is like super tall. So that was the first shock. And then yeah, everything is clean. The city is beautiful, and people are very punctual on time. But the only thing is that you need appointments for everything. It's not like India that you can just call someone and you get the service within like 5-10 minutes. Like you call an electrician and they will come within 10-15 minutes to fix your bulb or something. It doesn't work that way here, so you really need to make appointments or just learn to do things by yourself. That's the
Sure.
best.
And no honking on the road.
No, also that not,
Quiet.
which is great. Which is
Yeah.
great. Like if I'm in India, then that's something that annoys me sometimes. People honking for no reason.
So I guess once you went to India after living here a bit, the first thing you would notice at Indian airport, like outside, is like lot of honking.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
For no reason at all.
And once you landed at the airport and you came to your accommodation and you had to probably set up your accommodation for cooking, cleaning, etc., etc. Were you used to it? You knew a bit of a cooking, or it was all learning exercise for you?
It was experimenting. I think it was learn as you go. I did cook a bit during COVID, but it was like all exotic stuff. So you don't cook dal chawal, for example, right? So I was Yeah, I didn't know how to cook dal or something, very basic things, but I think it's super easy once you learn by yourself. In India, you don't like, even I was living in hostel when I was in Miranda House, but you have good tiffin services for cheap price. You have cooks, so it makes life so much easier. But here, you come here and then you have to do everything by yourself. I think I kind of enjoy it, to be honest. It's good to be cooking by yourself, to be cleaning by yourself. Like, it's just a part of life.
The very first learning was, you became more independent.
Exactly. You become independent and you also learn how to manage time much better, because here everything has to be on time. Like, also when it comes to studying, um, we have like, this day you have to submit your assignment at this time, so it can't go like, later than that. So you have to be super punctual and manage your time well, because you want to study also, but you also want to see this new country. You want to travel, so that really it really helped me in time management.
Sure, sure. And once you started your classes, what were the initial surprises in the classroom setting, the education difference, let's say India versus Amsterdam?
Yeah. No, I think there is a good education difference, because here it's more hands-on and more practical, from what I hear, like for India, because here we have assignments to be done every week, and we have to submit an assignment this week, the next week, and then within 1.5 months we have our exams. So that was kind of a shocking thing for me, because back in Miranda House, I remember, or any DU college, that you have a 4 months, one semester. So then you are doing classes, you're studying, but you actually study 1 month before the exam. So, because you're not being tested every week, but here you are being tested every week, and you're working more in teams. So you have your team members. So you're not just studying in isolation, but you're studying along with people, which is really a good thing, I would say. It helps in teamwork, and then you learn from each other. So that was a really nice experience.
And calling professors by their first name, was that something you were comfortable or you took time to get it?
Yeah, that was also a thing to get used to. I did get comfortable with it, but in my mails I would always end up sending sir. Yeah.
Sure, sure, sure. And once you joined your college and you were set up for the initial phases, did you also do any internship and part-time jobs while you were at Amsterdam?
No, I didn't do any internships, because, funnily, the dean had already, in our introduction, warned us that this is a very intensive course, so you won't be able to do internships, because it's a 1 year course, right? So within 1 year course, you are doing a master's, so it's super intensive. Because the semesters are also shorter, and within a short period of time, you have to study a lot and learn a lot. So that's why I didn't plan to do any internship, but I did do part-time jobs to get some extra money, because Amsterdam is an expensive city, for sure. So yeah, I just did freelancing jobs here and there.
Sure, sure. And once you're doing this freelancing job or part-time jobs, did you also notice some difference in the work culture, let's say India versus abroad, that time?
Not when I was a student, because the jobs that I was doing was, yeah, it was not desk jobs. So then you don't realize the differences, but once you start working, yeah, you will realize the difference.
Sure, sure, sure. And after you finished your degree, you are right now like doing a full-time job. Could you tell us a bit like how you found your full-time job and what was the your rejection handling thing and how you applied for that, etc.?
Yeah. I was I graduated in 2022, so I already started applying for jobs beforehand. So I had to hand in my thesis in July, and I was about to graduate after that. So I started looking for jobs from March onwards. Like even February, I started being getting into the mindset that now to go to the job market. So I started preparing my CV and writing cover letters, and then deciding where I wanted to apply, what kind of companies I wanted to apply to. And then since from March onwards, I started like applying everywhere, and it did took some time because yeah, you get rejections obviously, and it can be demotivating. So but you just have to get used to it and move on. So I also got a few rejections, but then also a few interviews. So it was a good in the end, the result was good, so that helped. So I started, like I said, I started in March, and I landed a job by July. By June, I think. Yeah, I already had a job.
Sure, sure. And you use some portals or LinkedIn to find these jobs, to apply to the jobs?
Exactly. I use LinkedIn mostly. Then I also networked a bit on LinkedIn, but most importantly, there were some events in our university. So offices would come to have open days, for example, and you can interact with the people who are actually working in those companies. So they also help a lot. There were like case competitions and just yeah, things like that. So it's not like we have placements in India. Here you don't have placements, but then still offices, these companies do come to universities to chat with the students and to introduce their company to the students, basically, so that they, if they like it, then they can apply. So that also helped a bit, but in the end, I actually just applied to the through the company portal, because I knew which like I really wanted to join this company, so I would check their portal almost every day for jobs, and that's how I applied.
So you finally got your job through direct application on the website of the company.
Yes,
And
exactly.
you got some interviews also that you cracked. Which portal or LinkedIn was helpful for you? Where did you get the maximum interview calls from?
I think would be LinkedIn, because yeah, mostly I relied on LinkedIn for sure, because there you can see all the companies and all the jobs, so that's super helpful. But I know there are some other companies as well here where you can look for vacancies, especially for graduates. There is one called magnet.me. I think that one was also that's also a good website for particularly jobs in Amsterdam. I don't know if it's there in other countries, but yeah, it's there here. So magnet.me is a good website as well.
Sure, sure, sure. So in your case, LinkedIn, I mean, you would recommend the audience to maybe use LinkedIn to hunt for jobs and also obviously directly apply to the target company if there is anything in their mind as well.
Exactly. Exactly. Like if you really want to go to a particular company, it's always better to target that company portal. But most importantly, to talk to people who are actually doing that job, who are in that department. I think that helps quite a bit.
So very similar to like your study abroad times when you connected with, let's say, the students and alumni. This time you connected with the, let's say, the potential co-workers of your company to just know how is the
Not
job market.
necessarily, not from the not where I'm currently working, but I did that for some other companies for sure. It's just nice to talk to people and get to know about their experience. They you can't expect anybody to help you out. Obviously, it's in the end it's on you, but at least you get an idea of how it feels like to work in that company, and then you can take your decision if you actually want to go there or not.
Sure, sure, sure. And when you are doing all this job hunting and this whole thing, did you also face like some kind of winter depression when the sun was setting a bit earlier than usual?
Yeah. I think for a few days in January, I would say. But yeah, then when I was in university, still you don't have time. It's you have to study, and January period was also, I had a difficult course, so I had a teammate, and we both were just spending our days in the library. So there was no time to be depressed. I would say it was still good, because as long as you have friends around you, it's always okay, even if the sun is setting earlier.
Sure, sure, sure. And what are your future goals from now?
So yeah, currently I work in finance, and yeah, my future goal would be to, yeah, get ahead in my career, and probably work as a financial consultant in the future.
And
Yeah.
once you started this full-time job, what was the like the work culture difference? You know, you worked like 1 year in a startup in India and here, or maybe with
Um,
colleagues.
Oh no, actually, the startup that I worked in was a Germany-based startup. So work culture I can't say, because I was already working remotely from India. But if I talk to my friends who are working in India right now in different companies, then yeah, definitely it's very different. Here, you do get to have some work-life balance. Like you can take out time for your hobbies, to go out, which I think is a bit difficult in India. Like I do work with Indian colleagues who are sitting there in India, and yeah, I do notice that they sometimes do long hours. So like it's not like you never do long hours. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to work till 7 or 8, but not on a regular basis. Maybe like once a month you work till 8. So otherwise every day maybe you work till 6 p.m. or something. So yeah, there is a good work-life balance for sure.
Okay, Komal. So my next question to you is, did you travel to the neighborhood countries? How many countries have you traveled now?
On top of my mind, I've traveled to almost 17, 16, 17 countries till now.
So every weekend you are going somewhere or the other.
No, not every weekend, but
Every month maybe.
no. So once you go on a vacation, you end up doing two countries at once, for example. So I'm also counting Vatican City, which is inside Rome. So that is an extra country.
So you have precisely counted 17, right?
Yes, yes, I keep account nowadays.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So when you were traveling to all these countries and there was like some cultural difference here and there, do you see yourself as a bit of a upgraded person, like your personality, your knowledge, your confidence, your overall open-mindedness increased with each of these travel experiences, including the study abroad experience?
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely, it does change you a bit in terms of open-mindedness, because you meet so many people. So then, from different cultures and different religion, yeah, different countries. So you have to be accepting of people from all around the world, and yeah, that is something that you notice in yourself and with people who are there back in your home country. If you talk to them, then you do notice that yeah, you're a bit more open-minded and broad-minded about a few things. And also going to different countries, like yeah, everyone is different, but people in Europe are generally very accepting. And because it is uh, because these are very small countries, so you will see that a lot of tourists also in these countries, a lot of expats, not just in Netherlands but in Germany, Spain, Poland. uh, so yeah, people are very welcome you with, yeah, open arms, which is great.
Sure, sure. And traveling to so many places, you would have also tried different food, right? So, which are your favorite dishes now?
I still, for me, Indian cuisine is number one. But but I love myself some Italian food. I love some pasta. Italy has great food for sure.
Sure, sure. So, coming to the very last question now. So, Komal, what advice would you give to younger yourself, or let's say your juniors at Miranda House or DU, or for that matter, India as a whole, if they would like to study abroad? Any pro tips, any special tips?
Yeah. Uh, I would say don't follow others, like listen to yourself where you want to go, because if I followed some other people, I would have reached maybe Canada, US, or somewhere else. But always it's good to think what you want to do, what kind of course you want to do, and then find out which university is providing that course, and also do a good pro con list of the countries that you are interested in, because you might see that everyone is going to USA or everyone is going to Canada, but that might not be the best choice for you, maybe. So yeah, it's always nice to do a thorough research, talk to people, and then make a decision, and not just decide on your whim to go study abroad. Yeah.
Sure, sure. And any recommendation on the usage of LinkedIn? Because a lot of people are like during their school time, especially, or maybe in the first year of college also, are not on LinkedIn, like in general. Like a lot of people
Yeah.
use Instagram more than LinkedIn. Any tip on that?
I think it's super important to use LinkedIn. Always keep it updated, have an updated CV, because you might not know, you might have to send your CV to someone else. So yeah, like me on LinkedIn, yeah, as soon as you enter college, maybe, or even as a student, I think nowadays some students must be on LinkedIn as well, because you can start doing internships and stuff. It's good to yeah, it's good to be active and share what you're doing to your network, and yeah, keep building a good network. It really helps in the long run.
Sure, sure. So thank you, Komal, for your special tips, pro tips, and your time sharing your experience and insights. So we hope our audience would have learned something, and you have a good day now.
Good night, actually. Thank
Okay,
you so
take
much.
care then. Bye.
Bye bye.